Uh, but my question is about free will and how
What?
are Muslims
Free will.
not
Oh.
how are Muslims not deterministic?
We're compatibilists. So believe that Allah, He has Qadr, He knows the future, He put it into action, He's always in control of it, and that He's written the future. But that at the same time, human beings have been given free will. How that those two things come together, no one knows how that works. Just like no one knows how Allah hears or how Allah sees, or this is a mechanistic question, and no one can answer it. How? But this is what we believe. We're not determinists because we believe in human free will. So believe in human free will and determinism, which means compatibilism, theological compatibilism. So we are compatibilists. That's what we believe in, and it's really as simple as that. Now, I've written a piece which is on the Sapiens website on this.
Very good.
You can read that because it covers most of the ground here.
You did that part of your Oxford degree, right?
Yeah.
What marked it? If you don't mind,
I think that got distinction, bro.
So that was marked by academics and who.
Yeah, Oxford academics.
So it's not like
Yeah.
these things are just like airy fairy or whatever. We're trying to give answers which are satisfactory.
Yeah.
You can say it's peer reviewed, the paper.
Yeah, obviously from the guys at Oxford. So read it. Now, I think that's the best thing.
I just read the beginning, and
We know that.
I agreed with you when you said Sam Harris' opinion about when it is deterministic, but he still criticizes morality. It doesn't make sense. It's like a contradiction. So I agree with you when you wrote that. But
Yeah.
I don't understand, as you said, the mechanistic. Yeah,
No one knows
side
that.
of
You'll never find that out. That's impossible. Just like saying, if I say to you, because the Qadr of Allah, we're talking about now Allah's attributes. If I say Allah, how does Allah hear?
stuff.
If I ask you
We
that
don't
question, how would you answer it?
Ghaib.
Yeah, we don't know that, do we? It's the same way, Allah, how does He do taqdeer? We don't know how He does that. How does He do taqdeer and at the same time give us free will? We don't know. But us not knowing how Allah does things, which He's capable of doing, is not an evidence against the fact that Allah can do it. For us, the main thing is, and if you keep reading, you'll see this. The main thing is, something is only impossible if it goes against Allah's attributes. So if Allah is all hearing and I say, oh, Allah is not all hearing, that's impossible now. Now I'm talking about something which is impossible.
Try this.
Yeah, don't mind.
Really hot.
Yeah, don't put it there. So it doesn't fall into the category of attributable impossibility. Well, it's gonna flick on me, man.
But my question is more about how we humans get responsible for our actions. How can we be kept?
No, I told you we have free will. We have free will, so that answers that question. Now the question is, how do you establish free will? Can we establish that human beings have free will? There are some. I think the best way to establish it is something called the principle of different persons. You'll see this when in the writing if you keep reading. Yeah. So, for example, Chrysippus, who's a Stoic, yeah, he gave an example of someone. If you go to the top of a hill and you have a ball and you have a cone, and you push the ball and you push the cone, what's going to happen to the ball?
Roll down.
It's going to roll. What's going to happen to the cone?
Stay there. Move a little bit.
It'll stay there, right? So both the ball and the cone are being, or the same external stimuli is being exerted on both the objects, but they are acting in a different way, yeah? And why are they acting in a different way? Because of their nature. So in the case of the ball, it's because of its rotundity that it's rolling. In the case of the cone, it's because of its flatness that it's staying there, right? Likewise, two human beings, in exactly the same circumstances, will act in completely different ways because their nature is different.
That's amazing.
And likewise, this is something that, I mentioned the Stoics.
So who came up with this?
It's a guy called Chrysippus, a Stoic.
So this is pre-Socratic.
Yeah. No, not pre. This is like 3rd century or something. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, when the Prophet now, I thought this was a great, like you, I thought this is amazing because we have different natures. We might be tempted with the same things, but react in different ways. The Prophet actually indicated to this in the Hadith. He says that the example of that which have been given, i.e. the Quran, is like a rain that comes from the sky.
Allahu Akbar.
And it hits different parts of the earth.
Allahu Akbar.
So, for example, it hits some part of the earth and it will do nothing to it. So, in other words, it's barren land. Or hit other parts of the earth and it will be useful to itself and to others. And likewise, revelation. Some revelation will hit some people and it will do nothing to them. And some revelation will hit other people and it will benefit them and others. So we go back to the principle of different persons. It is the case that one stimuli can have two different effects on two different people. Hence, the principle of different persons. Hence, we can actually establish that free will exists. But likewise, we can establish that determinism exists. And this is why it's not an issue which is Islamic specific.
No, but playing devil's advocate, or say Darwin's advocate, right? Yeah. Couldn't someone say that those natures were determined? Therefore, you're just pushing the problem back.
Yeah, but the thing is, you could make that point, but they're determined to be free. And once again, you push the problem forward again.
Oh, yeah,
you know, because the nature, we're saying that the nature, we go to a mechanistic issue. How could it be determined to be free? That's now, if I say it's been determined to be free, like the Sha'ir, the poet said, وَمِنْ عَجَائِبِ الجَّبَّارِ أَنْ يَجْبُرُ الْعِبَادِ بِالِاخْتِيَارِ, that from the wonders of the compeller is that he compels the slaves into free will. The question is, how can you compel someone into free will? That's a mechanistic issue, which we've already explained, we cannot explain. And that's something it's like saying, how can Allah hear? How can Allah see?
Yeah.
What we can explain, we can establish beyond reasonable doubt the principle of different persons, and we can establish beyond reasonable doubt that assuming an antecedent causal chain of uninterrupted events, that things will be as they would be. And if we substitute that uninterrupted causal chain or antecedent chain with Allah or the first mover, then you have the same deterministic issue. So you can establish both kind of free will and determinism, but you can't explain how they both interpenetrate, if you like. You can't explain how they symbiotic.
But there's also a presupposition here. And the presupposition is, in order for us to believe in something, we have to be able to rationally put it into our brain and it makes sense. But that's not necessarily true. Because most of the things that we believe, if we were to keep questioning, how do you know, how do you know, how do you know, how do you know, Aristotle said you'd have an infinite regresses of how do you know, till the point that you can't have any knowledge. So you have to have some basic beliefs which are not challengeable, which are axiomatic. Those are things you can never justify. Likewise, why have this assumption, I can't believe in free will until I can rationalize it? Why even have that? Because that's assuming you have to rationalize everything, right? And also, there's a really good video. You were debating some atheist, and he was coming up with this argument. You said, "Well, you got the same problem.
Yeah.
So let's stop pretending like this is our problem. It's your problem. It's our problem. In fact, whichever
system,
clubhouse you enter, determinism, compatibilism, total free will, you will have issues. And you will not be able to actually justify that. Every single one of these positions can be attacked. Does that mean that, okay, there's going to be a special attack on Islam and not on others? No, it doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, that's the way I think, the paper that you wrote, which is actually a very, like a spiritual journey type of thing.
Yeah, because someone I saw him one time. I said, I left Islam. Why? He goes, the Qadr issue.
Yeah.
I said, is it? I said, yeah. All right.
There's a drink.
Yeah, but that's going to make it worse.
Should I give you water?
No, that's fine. He said, the Qadr issue. I said, why? He said, because with the Qadr issue, all the issues that we just talked about, yeah? So I said to him, as an atheist now, what do you subscribe to?
Good question.
Do you subscribe to hard determinism compatibilism, or libertarian and free will. Because, like you said, all three of these can be criticized. It doesn't explain all the data in terms of mechanism. None of them explain all the data. So, from that perspective, this is not an Islamic specific issue.
Yeah.
Whatever religion you decide to be, whatever, even if you have no religion, it's just a difficult thing to answer. Instead of God determining everything, the atheists have an uninterrupted causal chain. Simple as that.
It's like this, yeah.
So it's a mechanistic issue which human mind is not able to fully grasp, and otherwise it wouldn't be schools of thought.
Another way of thinking about it is, imagine an atheist said to you, "Can you prove that you exist from first principles?" You say no, therefore Islam's false. We'll turn around and say, well, firstly, that doesn't make any sense, and two, if that was a valid argument, your worldview would fall apart as well.
Right.
Because this idea to prove our existence from first principles, it presupposes loads of things, and you can get into meditations, Descartes' ideas, and all these types of things. The fact is, it's not an argument. So usually we see this selective application of criticism when it comes to theistic ideas, but they don't realize that actually they've got the same exact problem, and it's not actually a problem. If you really think about it, it's understanding that there are limitations to what we can conceive. And currently, some people are coming up with this idiotic idea that quantum mechanics can sort out the free will issue. Total nonsense. Absolute nonsense, right? However, look at what quantum mechanics is coming up with. It's coming up with things which are very counterintuitive. Don't make much sense, at least the interpretations of them, right? So, that's what we need to keep in mind, because sometimes we accept the selective paradigm and we don't realize that by accepting the selective paradigm that they are imposing, we are actually putting ourselves in a very disabled position, in a very handicapped position, and we need to step back and not accept that paradigm.
There are some things in Islam you can say I don't know to. And when it relates to Allah's attributes, that's the one.
I want to say something, right?
Be like,
in Speaker's Corner, this happened the other time. I was the guy was asking certain questions, and those certain questions, there is no answer. That we know there's a wisdom behind every legislation of Allah, but if we do not know, like for example, why is alcohol haram, we can give a wisdom answer.
Yeah.
But when it comes to say something else, you can try and come up with the wisdom, but you can also say I don't know, because we don't know for certain if that was the wisdom. Now in the park, and I wanted your thoughts on this. I said to those two young men, those two atheists that I was talking to, especially one of them, that actually I don't know. We don't know the answer to this, but we know why Islam is true.
Yeah.
Some of the Muslims in the comment sections were upset because they wanted an answer, because they've heard answers all their life. Why is this thing in Islam? Because X, Y, Z. Thing is, those answers aren't, unless they're legislated, unless they're specified in the Quran and Sunnah, those answers are mere interpretations. You can't say for certain that is the wisdom. And sometimes it's okay to say I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean Islam is false. It simply means you're just being honest and saying there's certain things we just don't know. But I want you to ask you this: why is it people don't like hearing that answer? Muslims are like, no, we have to have an answer for everything, even non-Muslims.
That's just it's an aqidah issue, because when we talk about Allah's attributes, his functional attributes, or his necessary attributes, or his intrinsic attributes, or his will, we are talking about something which we say we affirm the attribute, but how it works we don't know. That's part of our religion, actually. All schools of thought agree with that.
But even then,
everyone agrees with that. Ash'ari, Mu'tazili, Maturidi, we say what do you call it, Athari, Salafi, everyone agrees. Be like Caliph. We don't know how it works. We don't know how Allah's attributes work. In conjunction with our free will, how does it work? We don't know. That's it. And we have to be okay with that.
Is that okay, brother Zakaria? Zakaria.
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 It's pronounced like Zakaria, but my parents wrote it wrong. But you answered my question, and thank you for highlighting that mechanism is the problem, and no one can answer it today.
Yes, but keep reading, because it goes into detail, though, that thing.
I will. Jazakallah khair, brother.
Thank you, Akhi.